My name is Josh. I'm a personal trainer here at the Gym Factory and I train mostly here now. I do live quite far away, so at the moment I'm only training here. Been a bodybuilding coach for the last 10 years, really working my way up the ranks to actually learn enough information and enough knowledge to be able to offlay that onto my clients and help them progress where they need to go. The speciality when it comes to personal training is, I guess you'd call it tension-based training, but that obviously definitely cascades and trips into bodybuilding all the time. So understanding each client and how their physiology and how their biomechanics are sort of structured will differ how the client needs to be trained. So my expertise sort of comes in there where I can understand an individual, break them down to the most sort of physiological components and then understand how to recorrect and retrain them to be able to develop new systems, new muscle tension-based feelings, as well as mind muscle connection to be able to grow specific muscles and create aesthetic bodies with kind of like a sculpting kind of process, if you understand what I mean. Slap a bit of clay on there, slap a bit of clay on there. Bodybuilding is much the same, where you sort of amplify small parts of the body to get really good detail at a finished product. My approach to fitness is always getting the three fundamental basic components right, whether that's sleep, diet, and recovery. Once they have those three fundamental aspects of their life under control, everything else becomes chalk and cheese because it's really easy to add other components into your life when the fundamental basis of structure is there. So if you're getting good sleep and you're getting a good amount of food in and your recovery is fantastic, your body can really develop and also your mind. So understanding those three components at the start is very crucial for me, and relaying that onto a client the first 2 weeks and resetting that baseline where they've got to get enough sleep, enough food and enough recovery is quite crucial. So understanding them for clients is really important, but then leveraging that and cascading that into the next phase of their training, which is where all the fun happens. So sometimes those first 2 weeks is just really trying to kick off any bad habits they have initially, because when they come to me, their life before that point in time is relevant, but not to the point of where they're going to go, right? So understanding that we're who they are in front of me at that point of time, how far do we have to break them down to its original components to then be able to recreate who they are into a 2.0 version of themselves. My primary goal when it comes to training my clients is exceeding and enhancing their value of potential. So a lot of people when they come to me, especially since COVID, a lot of times the mental health has been a huge aspect of people feeling less about themselves or not feeling that they can reach their true potential, is me getting them outside their headspace and then understanding that their true potential is actually far exceeding what they think they're capable of. So that is a fundamental basis of my business, is trying to get the most out of each client, whether it be reps, intensity, even sticking to their diet or doing their check-ins once a week. These things are huge, crucial components that actually enhance their potential, but small things like brushing your teeth every day and wiping your bum don't equate to a huge overall goal. But when you do these small things and consider you eat your food, you drink a lot of water, you do your stretching and you train to your hardest capability, the highest amount of reps with the heaviest amount of weight, you're always going to change into a new version of yourself. My overall demographic when it comes to my clients, if I had to be picky and choosy, it would be anyone who has a go-get-em kind of mentality. I feel like I can change and enhance anyone's potential to be able to equate them to where they want to go, where it fits with my kind of niche, bodybuilding. But it's also understanding that, it might not just be about bodybuilding, it might be about simple fat loss or understanding their relationship with food, or be able to open up their pathways so they can move in different ways or increase their posture in a good level, So every client is so individually catered that's the process I take with it, is every client my time with them is very individual, it's very focused, it's very specialized and personalized. And I feel like my clients relay that and they understand how much passion I put into my clients in every session. My favorite style of training, I guess, comes from the famous celebrity trainer, Honey Rambod, who is the pro creator in the bodybuilding space. He's gotten Jay Cutler, Chris Bumstead, Andre Dayu, then the list goes on to get to the Olympia stage, which is the Super Bowl of the bodybuilding world. His style, fascia style training, or FST7, is a base that I sort of base a lot of my training on, is understanding that the fascia, which is the cobwebs that sort of suppress our muscles, these can hold your muscles and start to form them in different ways. So if we can increase your mobility, increase the fascia, we can increase the amount of tension we have from origin point of view to contraction point of view, where that muscle really contracts really hard, and then with good tension can open back up with full tension and full capability. We understand that we can relate this aspect or this method to each part of our body, each muscle group, and then with that we can increase each muscle's potential and capability and growth size as well. My history when it comes to sport or physical activity, I've always been such an active kid. I grew up around Hornsby area, so we were either the bush or parks is what we had, and we had to run 10 kilometers to our friend's house kind of stuff. So back when I was very young, playing cricket, soccer, hockey, tennis, water polo I was very good at as well towards the end of high school. Very good at soccer as well, went through overseas trips for that. Then when I came back, injured my back, so I had to start training with weights to strengthen my spine and help the spine, sort of move in a good way. So then I got kind of thrusted into weight training, where I joined a gym back in 2010, and I hated gyms back then actually, and then I joined it, and then I joined it with my friend. And we loved it. We motivated each other. We knew that this was going to be a point where we were playing school sports or team sports, where we relied on one another to help us get there and motivate each other. This was different, that we had to motivate each other in a very localized space, a very individualized space, and focus on one another's goals and help amplify each other as much as we could. And I found a lot of passion in that. So then I started training a lot harder. I'm focusing on the aesthetic qualities of tension-based hypertrophy training. And then throughout the process, the goal of me competing at Men's Physique Show was always there. But once I worked my way through the ranks of learning what I need to learn with nutrition, tension-based training, recovery, everything sort of considered, because it is a full spectrum sport, taking myself to that stage the first time in 2019 was an incredible feat that I feel very proud of myself for. And then again in 2020, just before the first lockdowns, competing in the first pro show, that's where I want to be, and that's where I find a lot of passion in my training, because you get in what you put out and you cannot fudge the results. You see what you get, and if you put the hard work in, you get this amazing feeling of purpose and drive and vision that you can't match with anything else I've had in my life. My personal goal when it comes to my life, I guess I've always found the purpose is the most important thing, and waking up every day loving what you do is hugely important. I've worked in jobs where I hated it before, and you wake up every day and you hit the snooze button 6 times before you actually get up and go. But with this job and this purpose I feel like I'm on the right track, and I want to keep amplifying all those people that come into this space and want to benefit from this space or my training. So I feel like anyone that comes into this or wants to be a part and that gravitates towards what I'm doing will be part of that purpose and that mission. But this gym is definitely going to be a huge part of that purpose, developing this facility to the best that the Northern Beaches has ever seen. And then within that, developing the coaches within and the members within to be able to show the world how educated and how smart we are at what we do and how capable we are. My advice for anyone who is interested in personal training but is kind of anxious to get their foot in the door to start things, the most important thing would be obviously figure out where you want to go with it. Where's your direction, what's your vision, what's your purpose, and why do you want to be here? Intrinsically, there might be like, I want to get bigger, I want to get more muscle, but there's a far deeper emotional purpose that you need to unlock and figure out what that is, because that will be the fuel source that will always keep going to the gym when the motivation's lacking. If you do every rep on your bench press with the emphasis of, I want to get as jacked as possible, I want to lift as much weight as possible, then you'll have that vision and that purpose in every single rep. And if every action had a purpose, every action would have a result. So understanding that anyone that comes to this space and developing with the trainers or with the coaches or the instructors, that anyone that wants to try personal training should figure out their purpose first and figure out what their intrinsic value of being here really is. And once they lock onto that, the personal trainer can amplify that and get them on the right track. But obviously don't be afraid of who you are as an individual at that point in time either. Obviously you're coming to a personal trainer because you want to change something, right? So don't be afraid of who you are at that point in time to be able to become that person you want to be. Obviously you are who you are. There's no point changing that. You can't change that, but we can change that through good training, good nutrition, and good mindset.